Hey, welcome back to the Realm of History. Really fired up to be here tonight. We got exams coming up this week, so wanted to make sure I get a good session in with you. Hey, I'll stay on as long as we need to today, answer all of your questions. We're going to have some fun. Really impressed by the AP practice exam results. Checked out some of the Quizlets. So I'm just really fired up. Hopefully, you guys are getting ready for the big exams this week, not only for my class, but the other important classes that you have going on as well. So let's get into the agenda. I'm going to start with a little bit of key advice for you. Okay, key advice. Obviously, I think this is a big one. Number one, as you go through the questions, as I go through some of the particulars with you about the exam, hey, make sure that you're writing those things down. Remember, when you write it down, it helps you retain that information and helps you to comprehend that information. Studies prove that writing things down by hand, very valuable. Can't stress this enough. Had it on the board, talked about it. Read your outlines several times through, not just once, not just twice, but you should be reading those. If you're Monday, if you're second hour, you ballers should have already done that. If you're third, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, read through those outlines each night. Take a couple passes through. Use Wyatt's Quizlet, right? It's really popular. It's really popular out there. It's everybody's using it, so hopefully it's helpful. I printed it off today. It was 18 pages. Holy donkeys! I took all my ink out of my printer. Nonetheless, I think that's an important piece of advice. Number two, hey, pray for the right things, right? I know these tests are big for you. These are really important tests. 20% of your grade, they go into the grade that goes on your transcripts that colleges will eventually see. So they are important, but you still got to pray for the right things. Ladies and gents, you still got to pray for the important things. Pray for your family. Pray for your health. Pray for the people who need your prayers right now. Those that are unfortunate, those that are looking for meals, those that don't have a place to live, those that are living on the streets. Okay, I want to remind you that I've been doing some work with food pantries recently. One of my daughter's Girl Scouts. My wife's the Girl Scout leader. She's the troop leader. So they went to the hospitality house in Walled Lake. It's a place that I love to volunteer for, because you never really understand that there are a lot of people who can't afford food right in your local community. I live in Novi, but I'm right on the border of Walled Lake, and hospitality house is a great place to serve. But what they'll tell you is that a lot of people donate around the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, but when January and February come along, that's when they really need donations. So, my group, the Catholic Athletes for Christ, will be doing a big food drive, but we're going to also look to help some local communities in the food banks as well. So think about that, prepare for that, get yourself ready, but pray for those folks. That's what you really should be thinking about. Don't pray for success on this exam, but do ask the Lord for guidance. Ask the Lord for guidance. Ask the Lord to calm your nerves, right? Help with your stresses. Those are good things to pray about, in my opinion. But also, hey, say the prayer of gratitude, right? Say the prayer of gratitude. Be thankful for all the blessings that the good Lord has bestowed upon you. It's a wonderful thing to be stressing about a test, right? It really is. If you can be so stressed about a test, you're doing really well. Like if your life is where you're stressing about a test and not other things, we got to thank the good Lord and count our blessings. Number three, hey, got to be here now. I think now is more important than ever. You have to focus on the task at hand. That is the key. Be here now. That's our motto of the realm. Hopefully, you'll be able to utilize that throughout this week. Practice metacognition. Think about how you're thinking, but be here now. Hey, number four, haven't had a live review with you in a while like this, so I want to make sure that you're thanking your parents. The fact that you are studying for a test at the great institution of Orchard Lake St. Mary's means that your parents have put you in a really good situation. So make sure that you say thank you to them. That's imperative. Make sure you do that before you go to bed. Do it right now if you have to. Number five, this is a huge test. All right. This is a big test. I want you to rise to the occasion. Don't shy away from the challenge. Meet the challenge. Rise up. If you're taking it tomorrow or if you're taking it Thursday, be here now and be ready to rock and roll. It's going to be a big test. It's going to be difficult because of the length of the exam. And there's a lot of different type of questions. There's a written response. You got short answer, extended response, essay. You've got the categorization. You've got 125 multiple choice matching, a little bit of true and false mixed in there. So It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have the ball out of control. You're going to have to make sure that you're ready. And you can still do that. But understand something. Understand this. This is really important. I'm just going to talk to you. I'm doing a lot of freelancing tonight, okay? But listen, this one single test, whether you ball out or whether you space ball, doesn't define you as a person. I'm not going to change my opinion on you based on what you do on this test, okay? Some people, they're really good at taking tests. Some people are not. So don't let one examination, define you. That's not what this is about. All that you can do is do the best that you can possibly do, putting your best effort, like we talked about from day one in the class. If you can look yourself in the mirror on Friday when exams are over and you can tell yourself that you honestly gave every single one of your classes your best possible effort, then you are a champion. You are. You did everything in your power to do the best that you could possibly do. You have nothing to feel bad about, not one bit. And that, I'm just telling you from the heart, that's the way that I see it. I'm going to love you guys no matter what. So, we're a family. This is the realm. And when I say that we're a family, we truly are a family. I'm going to be here for you the rest of your career after you graduate. Okay. I've got realm members that are in college, realm members that are out of college. All right. If you need my help, I'll be there for you. So don't worry about what happens on just one test. Take away your stress. The way that you take away your stress is by preparing and being prepared. Coming in prepared, there you go. That's all that you can possibly do. Okay, I've got a couple of things to talk with you about that I think are really important regarding the exam. And then I got a commercial break today. I want to get a special message from our sponsors. I do have sponsors on this bad boy, but nonetheless, I want to get a little pause for station identification coming soon. But first off, hey, let's talk about the test scoring. How's this bad boy going to be scored? Okay. The multiple choice, the matching, the true and false. There's 125 questions there. That's going to be 1 point each. 1 point each for a total of 125. Categorization is going to be 1 point each also for every item that you correctly place into a category. That's going to give you a point. So that's 50 points. So we're at 175 total. Then we got the short answer, extended response. I had those at varying levels of points, but I since took the timeline away. So that is going to be those are going to be 5 points each, whether it's an essay or whether it's a paragraph response. That's going to be 25, and that's going to make a grand total of 200 points. So the cool thing about this is, ballers and ballerinas, is you can take the 200 points and you can kind of equate it to a quiz score. Like our quizzes are out of 20, right? So if you average a 17 out of 20 on the quizzes, solid score, right? Solid score. And then you get a 170 out of 200, then yeah, that's consistent, right? If you average a 19 out of 20 on the quizzes, nobody really does, but some people are close. Then if you get a 190 on the examination, then you're in that range. Now, the way that I do that, I can look at it and say, all right, baller Johnny X, he averages 17 and a half. So that's like a 175. But on the examination, he got a 135. Ooh, what happened there, big dog? So when we look at it, we got to think about, okay, maybe this student struggles on those big exams. And maybe we can think about some test, not think, that'd be like working with tools, but think about this test and how we can improve on those big picture test taking strategies. Then maybe we got Jenny Y, right? Jenny Y, she averages 13.5 on the quizzes, but she really prepared for this big exam, and then she balled out of control with a 185, right? So then we got to look at, okay, if we really prepared for a test like you did for this one, then what are we doing during the quiz preparation, right? So that's why I kind of try to keep it around that 200 number so that you can kind of see if it matches up. So that's just a little bit of something. Let's talk about test day procedures. Yeah, something like that. So couple things, I know you guys get nervous for tests, but I get really fired up. I get really fired up because we've been preparing for this bad boy for a long time. So for me, it's like being a coach. It's like I'm a track coach, And I want to see, hey, how do my athletes ball? How do my athletes represent? I want to see how my students represent on the examination. So I'm excited. I'm excited to grade these. It takes me forever. It takes me about 8 minutes per exam to grade these. That's a lot. I got 135 students times 8 minutes. That's a lot of grading. So I'm not excited about that part, but I am excited to see how you do. Okay. So I'm really fired up about that. But, I get nervous too because I want everything to be nice and orderly. You're going to be nervous. So let's talk about the test day procedures. Once the examination begins, you may not leave the realm. So if you got to go to the restroom, you got to do all that stuff, like you got to do that stuff before. I am not letting you leave. Okay. I'm not letting you leave. You probably got the answers taped up in the bathroom stall. You'd be staller balling in there looking at the answers. We're not doing that. Once you start the examination, you are staying in the realm. All final answers need to be placed on what I call the ballertron. Okay. This is a classic realm ballertron right here. You can see it even says ballertron. So I just gave you the wrong copy. But anyway, the ballertron is basically my answer sheet. That's where all the final responses need to be placed. And then I don't let any of my ballers leave the class until the official time is over. So if we're starting at 8 o'clock, I'm not going to let anybody leave until 9:30 because I don't want you guys out there disturbing the other classes. Okay. Like you guys don't understand, but I've had students like they get out of their test early and then all of a sudden they're standing outside my door looking in the window like this, sticking their face up against the glass, putting a grease mark on there. Look, we're staying in the realm, okay, until the time is up. So I want to savor the moment. I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you for Christmas break. So I'm going to savor the moment while I can with you guys in the realm until you go off and do your thing for Christmas. But yes, please don't go doing that to some teacher. Don't go standing outside their door like 15 minutes early, trying to distract kids. Like just stay in your class until the time is over. Hopefully all the teachers will follow that and it'll go nice and smooth. All right. Listen. AP practice tests. You've been balling out of control, most of you. Okay. Hopefully you're not cheating. But the AP practice test will be available until 11:45 p.m. tonight. Had a little trouble, had to reset that bad boy, but got it all figured out. So we should be good to go. A couple of you, I don't know what happened. Maybe you hit one and then hit it. If you need me to reset it, send me a message. Like I told you, I can fix it. I learned how to fix it now. Okay. I've been working today. I worked more on a Sunday than I ever have in my entire life. Man, I've been busy answering questions, putting up the Realm Instagram. We got all kinds of stuff going on. So it's been kind of fun. Okay. All grades have now been entered for marking period 2. So unless you missed some extended time period of school, like unless you went on vacation when you weren't supposed to, yeah, something like that, your overall grade for MP2 is not final for anybody. I'll look at each grade on a case-by-case basis. Let me explain what I mean by that. So you might have an overall grade, okay? Unless you're some of those students who like took a week or 2 vacation when it wasn't vacation time and didn't even tell Mr. Langle. That's lack of metacognition, sign of weakness. But other than that, your grades say they have an overall final grade. Well, it's not entered yet. Okay, so that percentage is not exactly final. Let me talk about the criteria. I will never bump a student down. I'll never bump a student down. Like if you got an 89.5, I'm not going to bump you down to a B. Okay. If you made it to the B plus, you're not going to get a B. If you made it to an A plus, you're not going to get. I'll never bump a student down. I will occasionally bump a student up. Please listen. I'm not going to bump you up because you asked me. Don't ask me to bump up your grade. Okay. I will look at it. I will think about the following criteria: behavior in class, work ethic. Oh yeah. And so therefore, like I'm going to actively look at your grades. If I feel like you deserve a bump up, I'll bump you up. If I don't feel like you deserve a bump up, I'm not. If you ask me to bump up your grade, it will not happen. That's just what, don't ask me. I'm looking at all your grades. That's my job. I'm going to look at all the grades. Don't ask me to bump your grade up. Okay. If you ask me to bump your grade up, it's going to annoy me and I'm just going to not bump it up. Okay. So just forget about it. All right. Next, let's go to, we got some fun things going on. I tried to give you some stress relief. And boy, are there some funny shirt designs. Don't forget to vote for the official Realm shirt of the year. There is a very tight race going on right now. You can find the voting. The poll is at the.realm.of.history Instagram. If you're not following me there, you probably should. I put a lot of information out there, a lot of reminders. The link to this was there, so on and so forth. So if you wouldn't mind, get on there and go ahead and check that out and vote. Your vote counts. Okay, now give me a shout out. Let me know that you're here. We're really low on numbers, only 56. Usually we have 100. So maybe those ballers that are taking the exam later are thinking they're going to watch it, but they won't have a chance to ask questions. ... You know what I'm saying? Sign of weakness. But at any rate, give me a shout out. Let me know that you're here. Like this video. We'll try to work with the YouTube algorithm. But for now, I do want to pause for station identification and just a quick word from our sponsors. It is that time of year. Getting cold outside. Here we go. Yeah, something like that. If I can find it. Sign of weakness.
We got a Leaf gang in progress. Oh, Josh.
My bad.
Oh.
Hey, unknown salsa, what are you doing in here? Why is unknown salsa in the realm? What's going on here?
Thank you, Dad. Thank you, welcome.
Hey, girl. So what do we need to do when we come in from being outside in the cold?
You have hot chocolate.
What kind of hot chocolate?
Hot cocoa Bombs.
Yeah, so there you have it. The Cocoa Bomb Shop is our sponsor. It's that time of year. Order your Cocoa Bombs. All you got to do is go to Cocoa Bomb Shop on Instagram and get yourself hooked up. That's one of my former students. So want to support the local businesses. A Novi business, by the way. So go ahead and get your Cocoa Bombs. All you do, you heat up some milk, you drop the Cocoa Bomb in there, and it explodes. It's got marshmallows inside. It's pretty sweet. And you got nice hot chocolate with real milk chocolate in there. So that's a really nice thing to get as a present or a gift for somebody if they like that kind of stuff, or just to enjoy for yourself. I've got them on stock in the pantry, so I'm ready to rock and roll for Christmas time. Okay, now let's see. We are ready to go into question and answer session. Yes, question and answer session. So here we go. We've got 68 comments. Whoa, 68 comments. So let me go ahead and what the Sam Donkey? Somebody made a John the Soft Sword YouTube name, and they got me looking like Pitbull. Oh my goodness. What is this world coming to in the realm here? All right, let's see. Yeah, something like that. Okay, I'm just looking. I think I see a lot of shout outs, which is fantastic. Love the shout outs. A lot of ballers in the live review tonight. Okay, so hey, I'm ready for questions. I'm going to stay on here and answer any questions that you have. Yeah, those are some old school, the old realm. That's the Leaf Gang. They used to play pranks every day. That's the kind of stuff I had to deal with all the time. So, hopefully you'll feel bad for me. All right, let's see what's going on here. Do we got any questions? Yeah. Yeah. You're right on point there. Yeah. You're not a sign of strength, unfortunately. You lost Normandy. You lost those French lands to King Philip. So, unfortunately, it's a sign of weakness. And that's why you have the nickname. But let's keep moving. Ooh, Kira, here's a good question. How many questions are going to be from Old Test? Well, the categorization and the short answer, totally new. Haven't seen any of that before. Your multiple choice matching true and false. I was going through it today. It was 63% reused question. 63% of the questions were already on a previous quiz this year. So that leaves you with, the remainder as brand new questions. Most of my brand new questions were like from chapters 15 and 16. So that's where you're going to see a lot of those. Ask me something specific, I'll answer it. Ask me something specific, I'll answer it for you. All right, let's see here. For second hour, will we get any time after 9:45? Okay, so here's the deal. This is a really good question. If you're the second test of the day, you have a little bit of advantage because you actually get to stay a little bit longer. I'm not going to kick you out of the realm, right? I'd say a maximum of 30 minutes, though. That's got to be the max. It's got to keep it fair because let's say you're like third hour tomorrow. Third hour girls, they have a quiz on the next. Okay, they got an examination for fifth hour, so they're gonna be done at 9:30. I'm gonna give them an extra 15 so that they can still make it to their second exam. So you have a little bit of an advantage on them, but I would offer any third hour ballers, and then it would be sixth hour ballers. If you want to come in early and start 15 minutes early, you're more than welcome to. I mean, I'll be in the realm. So if you wanted to start early, you could get that extra bit. Okay, you could get that extra bit of time. So 30 minutes max. All right. Pepin crushed the mob revolt against the Pope. Don't have to know the Pope. You just want to know that, yeah, that's how Pepin kind of came into big time power and created that nice relationship with the Catholic Church. Yes, sir. Good question. All right, Amanda, what do we need to know about the Mongols? Okay, geographic locale, modern day Mongolia, but spread through to China, spread into Russia, spread into the Arabian Peninsula, right? Spread down into India. So major land-based empire there. I would also say you need to know Genghis Khan. You need to know that they were major horsemen, right? Some of the greatest fighters on horseback that we've ever seen. We want to know about the brutality that they practiced, the rule by fear, the way that they made people pay tribute, but also the way that they kind of let people do as they do, right? The Mongols kind of let people remain in some of their customary practices, but they just said, hey, you got to pay us a lot of tribute or we're going to kill all of you, right? So those are some of the key things that you want to know about the Mongols. Can you go over the Germanic tribes? Yeah, you got Germanic tribes like the Huns, the Visigoths, the Ostrogoths, the Vandals, right? And basically what we really need to know about the Germanic tribes is that they were on the northern borders of the Roman Empire. The Romans saw them as barbarians. And then eventually, because the Huns, which were a Germanic tribe, kind of invaded the Germanic territories, it pushed the Germanic tribes into Roman territory, which caused great conflict there. Eventually, the Germanic tribes attacking Rome from all different angles kind of overran Rome, weakening Rome's military defense mechanisms. Oh my gosh, we got a big time shout out. Look at that. Yes. My best friend at St. Mary's. I miss this guy big time. Mr. Klaus says, good luck, AP World History Ballers. Merry Christmas and God bless. Man, I miss this guy. Really loved working in the old realm right across the hall from Mr. Bobby Klaus. I know a lot of you guys miss Mr. Klaus too. Let's see what Ashley's got. What were some of the major contributions, accomplishments that the Aztec had? Well, when you think about the Aztec, they had one of the strongest civilizations in the Americas, and they had built a fantastic capital city of Tenochtitlan. So accomplishments would be architecturally. They had one of the largest marketplaces in the world. It's called the Marketplace of Tlatelolco. It was in the reading, but we didn't talk about it much in the lesson. It actually was in the lesson in the print-off notes. So that would be one thing. Militarily, very powerful, right? Had a lot of gold jewelry. And then they also they kind of ruled like the Mongols did. They ruled by fear, and they forced people to pay them tribute. One of the ways that they force people to pay tribute, though, is in human lives. And so that's one of the key things that you would really need to know about the Aztecs for human sacrifice. Well, to master metacognition, it's pretty simple. You have to think about how you think while you're thinking about what you're thinking about while you're thinking. So metacognition is basically thinking about how you think. It's evaluating your thoughts. So one simple practice to become better at metacognition is to count to 10 before you speak, right? Your parents probably told you that. My parents used to tell me that before they hit me with the wooden spoon. So you gotta think before you speak, okay? So you gotta count to 10, because if you say something without thinking, that's when you can get yourself in trouble. That's when you can get yourself in trouble. And that's also called, when you speak without thinking it through, it's also called being impetuous. Key vocab term, maybe English. Impetuous. Okay. Master Billy, could you give us a hint on categorization? Well, categorization, the real big thing that you really want to think about, you got 16, 17 categories. I'm going to give you a hint right now. I'll give you one that is on there. It's kind of the example. One of the categories says Minoans. All right. We learned about the Minoans in relationship to the Mycenaeans. Okay. But King Minos was the most famous Minoan. So one of the examples, one of the sample, I'm giving you 1 point right now. King Minos is in the category items. I was going to put on the board, okay, here's how you do this. Okay, you see King Minos, he goes with the Minoans. So that's one giveaway right there, but I was going to talk about that anyway. So you got to think about civilizations, and then those civilizations that we've learned, you got to think about key people, key terms, key places, key events that are related. So as you're going through your studies, that's the best way to do it. You got your civilization, and then you think about what are some key terms related. Right? Key battles, key events could also be on there. Well, we're still working on this. We are working on this. I'm trying to figure this out. We're trying to basically pick a film, and everybody will announce. I'll probably put it on the Instagram, but Chloe and Simone are doing a really good job trying to organize this bad boy. As soon as we find out what movies are showing on Saturday the 17th, I'll pick a time, and I'll say, hey, I'm going to be at this one. And if you guys can make it, that'd be awesome. We'll try to have some fun together as a realm. It's a family. It's a family. Hopefully we can all get tickets. We'll see. %. Yes. Just based on the scope. It's not that the questions are any harder. It's just based on the scope of what you need to know, right? Like the questions are not harder. There's nothing more difficult about that part. But I think the scope of what you have to know and what you have to be able to do, and jumping between the different question styles and the limited time that you have, that's where I would say it's more difficult. So I did give 7 last night. I gave you 7 extended response possibilities. Are we going to see any others on the test? Well, you're going to have 5. I think I gave you a pretty good clue on those 7. So I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to try to extend your study. I'm going to tell you that of those 7, five from those 7 will be on the bad boy. Yeah. The test will have 5 from those 7 that I listed yesterday in my quick live review. That will be the only ones that are possibilities. Okay. I'm not here to trick you. Yeah. Rise and fall factors for some of the civilizations like Rome and Greece. Well, Rome came to power after the Etruscans. So they rise to power based on their building of the Republic, which was that key political style that really we still practice today in the United States of America. So that's the rise factor for Rome. The fall factor, there's a lot of different factors that contribute to the fall, right? There's the Germanic invasions. There was a little bit of inflation. There was a problem with the military service and the loyalty. There were political problems. There was the change from a republic to a dictatorship that a lot of people didn't like. So there's just a lot of factors there. Greece, their rise to power came off of democracy, democratic values, right? And they came to power as city-states. They fall due to being invaded by the Macedonians, right? They were invaded by the Macedonians, and they fought wars against each other like the Peloponnesian War, which weakened them. So that was one of the factors of their fall there. So that's kind of what you want to think about. Well, I would say to keep it even and fair, Caitlin, the third hour would start at 8, so you could come in at 7:45 if you wanted to start early. Now, understand, let's say that Caitlin comes in at 7:45 and she wants to start. There's going to be other kids who come in at 7:46 and they're going to be like all nervous and they don't want to start. So you got to it's not the easiest situation, but it'll all work out. It'll all work out. Yeah, I printed that bad boy right here. So I printed that bad boy, 18 pages. Scale of 1 to 10, I'd say about an 8, which is really good. There's a couple. I'm going to say 8 because there's a couple, maybe 5 or 6 that I would say maybe on par, but not totally legit, right? So maybe some are a little bit short on some of the details, but it's a fantastic job. It's a job well done, and Wyatt's a big time baller for doing that Quizlet. Ooh, Thutmose III. Well, he was the stepson of Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut was the first female pharaoh in Egyptian history, and Thutmose or Thutmoses was her stepson. We believe that he most likely assassinated her so that he could become the true pharaoh. And then when he does come into power, he's really militaristic. He goes on the expansion. He wants to conquer others, and that's what he's most well known for. Now that's a sign of weakness. Mr. Bobby is not Sean's son, okay? Mr. Bobby Klaus is Sean's nephew, okay? Mr. Klaus is Bobby's uncle. Come on now. Get your story straight. Yeah, okay, Hudson. I'm not going to go through all 4 of those entities. I'll go through one. I'm going to pick Sumer. When you think about contributions and advancements, okay? So you can use this as an example for the other ones, but Sumer, they invent the wheel, the sail, the plow. They invent bronze. They are the first ever writing system, cuneiform, okay? So those advancements, those contributions right there are very significant. You can think about what Greece did, what Egypt did, what Rome did, right? But you need to think about at least 4 or 5 that if you get that essay or that extended response, that you can throw in there to support. Give some examples of cultural diffusion. Okay, well, when we're thinking about cultural diffusion, one of the key things that I would say there is you got to think about the spread of ideas. One big example would be gunpowder from China, right? Gunpowder from China, silk from China. If you go back to Sumer, bronze, right? If you go to iron, the Iron Age coming out of the Hittites and going into Africa, okay, iron smelting. Um, Gold from the gold salt trade, right, coming out of Africa, expanding to other parts of the world. Things of that nature are great examples of cultural diffusion. Chariots being used by the Hyksos and then all of a sudden being used all over the place. Cavalry being used by the Muslims in battle, and then Charles Martel copying and then putting it into play for the Franks. So these are some of the key ideas that you can think about in cultural diffusion, and think about how things are culturally diffused today, right? That's going to be another thing that you want to know for sure. It's going to ask about specific places, and you're going to have to be ready to, Sarah, you're going to have to be ready to talk about 4 to 5 contributions from each place mentioned. I would focus on the older civilizations, like Hudson had Sumer, Greece, Egypt, Rome. Those are the ones I would focus on, because the contributions that they make then impact the later civilizations. Well, chapter 10, okay. Now, if you're looking at the review sheet, right? What I'm going to tell you is that chapter 10, very limited, okay? Very limited on the review sheet. Battle of Tours. But here's the thing, you got Moors, you've got the Crusades, you've got anything related to Islam is going to be fair game there, okay? So when you think about the Crusades and you get from chapter 10, which is the basis of Islam, that's where your connections come into play. Now, remember, the categorization, now this is key, things on the categorization do not have to be on the review sheet. I want to make that clear. The categorization, not everything's on the review sheet. The categorization is kind of an assessment of, have you been paying attention? Have you been doing the reading all year? Have you been taking the good notes? I'm just telling you, the categorization, not everything's on the review sheet. So if you see some chapters where there's not much on the review sheet, you better be ready for those on categorization. Okay. Yeah, major contributions that the Inca and the Maya had. Well, all right. The Inca had the quipu, which was a recording device. It's like a series of strings that connect to like a larger piece of wood. And then, so like if you wanted to count population, you make a knot in the string. For every knot that's in the string, that might count as 100 people. So the quipu was a recording device that the Inca developed. The Inca practiced mummification, which is similar to Egypt. They had terrace farming. They grew potatoes. They're one of the first to grow potatoes. Potatoes were not known in Egypt until the Europeans came to Peru. Okay, so potatoes, very big contribution there. The Maya, it's mostly like city building, like Tikal, Chichen Itza, the ball courts, the temple structures, mostly architecture for the Maya, I would say. Who is this John the Softsword guy? I mean, how am I gonna do that? I can't do that. Now I get all my YouTube videos have all my notes on them. So there you go. Good luck in one night. Yeah, Elena, you really need to know about the Franks, right? Like when we talk about France, we talk Franks big time. Okay, they're basically the premise of modern day France. And then when you get to France, you need to know all the key figures like Philip II, Philip IV, their involvement in the Crusade, the Estates General, all the terms that are related or relevant from those sections in the notes. Jeez, Pete, soft orders. Okay, Ethan, the categorization will have all the terms listed. There's 50 things listed, and then it's going to have category headings, and you can write the terms from there down under the right category. And then each time you use one, you can only use it once, so you cross it off. Like, oh, here's King Minos. Cross him off, put him under the Minoans. Well, here it depends on what type of the question the essay is asking you, right? Like, I may say the civilization or 2 or 3 that I want you to talk about, or I may say, you tell me about the rise and fall of 3 or 4 civilizations. So now I have a couple versions, so I can frame the question how I want it to be framed. Okay, briefly, sure. Let's compare Sumer to Egypt, right? Both river-based or river valley civilizations. When you're talking about Sumer, you're talking about the Tigris and the Euphrates. They framed Mesopotamia. Egypt, the Nile River, right? Here's some differences, okay? The Tigris and Euphrates, they flooded irregularly. We didn't know exactly when they were going to flood, so it was really hard to prepare for the growth of crops. Now, if you look on the other hand, when you look at the Nile in Egypt, the Nile flooded every October. We knew when it was going to flood. We knew when it was going to recede. Both of them utilize silt, right? Because they're both river-based dynasties, they both utilize silt to grow their crops. And so that's a similarity. Architecturally, the Egyptians built pyramids while the Sumerians built ziggurats. Very similar faction. Both have a religious connotation. Both were polytheistic, but both also were theocracies, where they had at some point in time a religious figure being the ruler. So those are some key ideas that I think you can branch off of. Kira, all you have to do is go to Quizlet. Just Google Quizlet and then put in Langle Midterm or Mr. Langle Midterm. And I think the first one that popped up for me was Wyatt's. There are other versions out there. Some of my other students have made them. So, Wyatt's is being endorsed by a lot of students. A lot of students use Wyatt's in the regular quizzes, and I think he does a really good job. He's a very bright young man. So his is very valuable. I said 8 out of 10 just because I can't be giving Wyatt, too much confidence. Wyatt needs about an 8, maybe 9 out of 10. You know what I mean? Wyatt's a good guy, but we don't want Wyatt to get too big headed, even though he's from Novi. Let's give him a 9. Let's give him, just because he's from Novi, let's give him a 9. He's a baller. Okay. Let's talk about this one. You got the 5 characters. Do I want to go over all of them? Well, okay. I'll do it, Master Ethan. You got advanced cities, which really means they have a high population, but they're also a center of trade. You've got advanced technology, which means you have made some advancements in architecture, specialized tools, special weapons, so on and so forth, something that sets you apart from others. You have record keeping. You have to keep some form of record, all right? Rules and laws, storage of grain, taxes, complex institutions, some type of government system, some type of religious system. Those are examples of complex institutions. And then the last one is specialized workers, where not everybody's a farmer, but you got some farmers, you got some artisans, you got some blacksmiths. So you have diversity in the workplace. Everything talked about in chapter 11. kind of from their foundations in Kiev and Novgorod all the way up to Moscow. Their dealings with the Mongols, some of the key leaders like Ivan I, Ivan Moneybags, Ivan the Third, Alexander Nevsky, Yaroslav the Wise is up in there. So yeah, you got to know all of that stuff. Church and state. Oh, church and state is basically the two different sectors, religion and politics. Now, a lot of the civilizations that we learning about in this year kind of had a combination of church and state. Like if you look at Egypt and Sumer, like their religious practices and their political practices were kind of combined. Today in our world, like the United States, we have a separation of church and state. Like the Catholic Church doesn't run the United States. Neither does the Protestant Church. Neither does the Church of Islam, right? But if you look at Iran or other countries that are heavily influenced by Islam, they have a kind of a combination of church and state. There's no separation of religion and government, and that's problematic. That's why you're seeing a lot of those protesters at the World Cup, because, see, people don't have any freedom of choice. All right? So that's the idea of church and state. It's these two separate entities of religion and also politics. Yeah, no, Sophia sponsors me. Like she's our sponsor. So, I love to support the cocoa bombs. I gotta order some this year. Last year they were great. Sophia's a baller, by the way. Such a sweet, sweet young lady. Yeah, I mean, it's grouped into sections, something like that, dear Baller Simone. And it's kind of going in chronological order. It kind of goes from chapter 1 all the way to the later chapters. There might be some crossovers. Nebuchadnezzar was a famous Chaldean king. He built the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. So he kind of took over Babylon and kind of defeated the Assyrians, and then, just was a major leader of Babylon. Hatshepsut was the first female leader of Egypt, and Ramses was the most famous pharaoh in Egyptian history. He was a leader during the Exodus story where Moses, freed the slaves, the Jews, and crossed the Red Sea and so on and so parted the sea. Those are some of the things that you need to know there. If you're not sure about them, if you want to know more, you can always look them up in the book. You can use the index or use the glossary. They'll give you everything that you need to know. But that's the basic idea. Pretty simple stuff. What's this? What's going on here? Everything. All the key civilizations that were in Europe, you know what I mean? Greece, Rome, everything. Anything that we talked about that happens within Europe, you need to know. Okay, we're doing really well. I'm going to do something. I'm going to try something here. For the first time in live stream review history, I'm going to try to have a special guest. So the special guest I sent the link to, if you're still on, go ahead and try to join in. Let's just see what happens. You don't have to put your camera on if you don't want to. Don't feel like that's necessary. But I'd like to do a quick interview with you just to see how this thing works. And it's one of the popular players today that's been mentioned. So hopefully he can join in. Let's see what happens. I'll continue to answer questions as we wait. Any other questions? Hey, there we are. Let's see what happens here. Okay. Look at that. This is pretty cool. How you doing, Wyatt?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, this is fantastic. So Wyatt, you're a pretty big talk of the night here. A lot of the ballers have been mentioning your Quizlet. What do you think about my rating of an 8 out of 10? How did that make you feel?
Feels pretty good. There's definitely a couple mess ups on there, but
I wouldn't say mess ups. I just think maybe a little bit more detail could have been added. But you got 205 terms, right? So, man, that's a pretty big amount of work.
yeah.
Okay. Well, how did you feel? Why did you decide to make the Quizlet, and why do you make the Quizlets each week? Is that just for you, or do you feel like a connection to your classmates? Like, can you explain a little bit of that for us?
Yeah, I make them fully for myself because it helps me study. I don't know any other way to study. And then I just share them out so other people can use them.
Now, do you have to have a special account to be able to share them to everybody, or can anybody find it?
Anyone can make it. Anyone can find it.
It's pretty solid. Nice young man there. See, I told you Wyatt representing Novi. Can't beat that. Okay, so Wyatt, what's your prediction? Like, what do you predict you're going to score on this bad boy?
I'm hoping anywhere above a 90, 92 or so percent.
All right, so you're looking to get an A minus would make you feel pretty good if you got the A minus range.
Yeah, I think the grade I need is a 93, but.
Oh, so you went ahead and figured out, okay, where my grades are at, what I kind of need to get here to get into that A range for the semester. You've already got that figured.
Yeah, Mr. Abel taught us that before he, left.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Well, sign of strength there, Master Wyatt. Do you have any questions for me while you're on live today?
Do you think the test, what would you rate the difficulty of the test?
I would say I would be honest with you. Without the timeline, 6 or 7. With the timeline, 8 or 9. Now, you got an hour and a half to take the test. I took the test myself this morning. Okay. It took me 33 minutes. Of course, I know all the answers already, so it's not like I'm going to brag and say I aced it, because that's nothing special. But it took me 33 minutes just to go through each one, read each one. I made sure that I read each response possibility. So it only took me 33 minutes, but it's probably going to take students probably double the time. So I would say it's a 6.5 this year, because this is the first time ever that there's no timeline. And I think that's a huge benefit to a lot of you ballers. Also, I was shocked by the output on the AP practice. I mean, people are balling out of control on that. And so there's going to be a lot of students coming in with a lot of extra credit. You, for example, already have 10 points extra credit for the Quizlet that you made, which everybody seems to be using, which is a sign of strength for you. And then you're going to double that up with the extra credit that you're getting from your AP results. So, you're in really good shape. So that's got to give you a little bit of calm coming into this bad boy.
Yeah, thank you for those 10 points.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had a lot of people really backing you up. So that's why I wanted to bring you on and say thanks. And hopefully everybody can give you a shout out, because you really did help a lot of students out. And that's a sign of strength, repping Novi, repping the realm for sure. So really appreciate you, Wyatt. I hope that you have a wonderful night, buddy.
I also want to shout out Preston Brico and Malik Zawai, whatever you pronounce it, for getting me the extra credit. I heard they started off.
You know what they did? They really did. They really gave you a shout out, and that started my prompting of doing the vote off. Yeah. Sign of strength.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for these reviews. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Wyatt. Take it easy. Thanks for joining.
Have a good night.
You too, buddy. All right. So I'm here. If we have any other questions, I thought that was pretty cool that we're able to get guests on this bad boy. What a first, and what a good guy to have on there representing Novi. Okay, let's see. Any other key questions? How long do we think? Ooh, this is a really good question by Lucas. So I move through them really quick. I mean, you have to spend less than a minute on each one. You cannot, you guys and gals, you cannot spend more than 30 seconds per question. You have to move. You got to read it, evaluate it, answer it, move to the next one. Read it, evaluate it, answer it, move to the next one. If you have a question on one, put a circle by it, put a question mark, and then come back if you have time. But I would spend, well, first of all, my personal opinion, is to number one, go right into the multiple choice matching true and false. Do those first because that's 125 points out of the 200. Then go to the categorization because that is 50 points. So that's you're at 175. Then I'm going to do the short answers last. I personally believe the short answers are going to be the easiest part. I can't always predict that from a student's perspective, but I think the short answers are going to be the easiest part. And then you go ahead and do the short answers at the end. And then if you still have some time left over, you go back and check maybe some of those that you left blank or put the questions by. That would be my strategy going into this bad boy. Okay, well, I'm still waiting on any other questions. A lot of history today and yesterday. I mean, no timeline. 44 possible for 22 extra credit points on the AP practice, and then a first guest ever on the live review. That's pretty cool stuff, man. Wyatt, you're too kind. You're getting the extra credit, nobody else, okay? Nobody else is getting the extra credit. So good shout outs. You're a very kind young man, but yeah, something like that. Scheming. Everybody's scheming. Everybody's scheming. I like it. Wheeling and dealing. You guys trying to wheel and deal on me, but I've been doing this for too long. I know how you're thinking. Trying to give everybody shout outs. So, maybe Mr. Lengo will give us extra credit. No, it's not going to happen. Okay. Any other serious questions? I am here for you. I'm going to wait 2 more minutes. We have to live with the Ooh, okay. Here's a good question. If you're not feeling confident at this point and you got a couple of days, I really just suggest reading your notes carefully. Really, really, really read those notes carefully in and out. Remember to match up those terms on the review sheet with what's in the notes. Read above and below. And that should really give you a lot of confidence because all the questions, except for the categorization, are going to come from the notes. And even the categorization, even if it's not on the review sheet, reading the notes is really going to be the most important thing to help you there. And then, of course, if you're not confident about something or if you have questions, ask me. Ask me specifics, and I will go ahead and answer them for you to the best of my ability. I'm not going to do the whole test for you, but I would be there to help you out. Partial credit, yeah, I'm going to be picky. I mean, I already gave you the timeline off, so I'm going to grade it pretty hard. I mean, the timeline really lowered really kind of lowered down the overall difficulty level of the exam. Oh, was this something that happened for everybody when the special guest was on? Was there some lagging or some cutting out? Let me know, guys. I'd like to know because that's the first time I ever tried it. Not really. I would recommend it more for like if you're about to play a football game or maybe run a track meet or play some basketball, something like that. Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's what you need to know, Kira. The Old Kingdom, that's when that's really when the pyramids were built. Then you had the Middle Kingdom, which was a time when pharaohs came back into power. Then the New Kingdom is something that's not on this exam at all, so you don't really need to know about the New Kingdom. Man, Flo is freaking. Look at this. Who's this Flo guy? I know who it is, but I'm not going to call him up. He's asking me why my head's so shiny. It's just because there's a light bulb right above me. That's all. My little office here, just the light. I don't really have another place to go. So I have like a little slider door so that I don't disturb my family and my wife doesn't get too mad at me. Yeah, so I shut the door and the light bulb just right there, so it looks really shiny. So a sign of weakness for asking, all right, man. And hopefully, when you're older, you'll still have your hair. Don't wear too many hats. Well, number one thing is when I had kids, when you have kids, I'm always worried about them. So that's when I started losing my hair. But then I started wearing hats, and like the hats, when I wore the hats, it started making my hairline recede. So I think the hats have a part of it. I think they play a part of it. Oh my donkeys. Well, don't know really what to say to that. I would say clean version, big subwoofer. It's a hilarious song, but you got to do the clean version. All right. All right. So I think that we're pretty much good to go. We've been on for an hour. I don't see many other questions. Last thing I'm going to say, hey, the Realm is a family. I love all of you very much. I care about you, not only as my students, but as humans. And look, I really believe that the Realm is a family. And I hope that all of you guys come ready to rock and roll and ball out of control on this exam this week. If you need any other help, I will be there for you. You can ask me any questions that you want. You can send me emails. I've been really active today answering. I've been proud of myself to be pretty fast on the responses. So if you need anything at all, you can come see me. You can ask me. But there's just a lot of love for you, and I know that you're going through a lot, and you got a lot of tests to get ready for. But I just want to wish you the best in all your classes, and just make sure that you're doing your due diligence and getting yourself ready. With that, God bless you all. Make sure you say your prayers, say thank you to your parents, and peace.